Welcome to Space World. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about this. I've covered quite a bit of Rayman spin-offs on this channel, like Hoodlum's Revenge, the Game Boy Color games, and even Designer, so I feel like I want to tackle Rayman Brain games. I've seen plenty of people talk about educational games featuring popular video game characters like Mario or even Sonic, but it seems odd that I hardly ever see people go through the educational Rayman games. What's that? There's more educational Rayman games than just brain games? Oh yeah, there's like 7 of them. Yeah, between Rayman 1 up to Rayman 2, Rayman's gotten several educational games. I wouldn't be surprised if you never heard of these, cause as far as I know, they're one of the few Rayman games that's only been released in a few countries. And yeah, I know learning games aren't the most exciting things in the world, but I find one of the educational Rayman games kind of interesting. Like in French with Rayman, the story has the Magician getting a letter from his cousin, who they have been in magic school together. The letter he wrote was ingredients for a magic spell. Only problem is that the Magician doesn't understand French. Then Mr. Dark stole the letter and put a curse on the Magician and Patilla, and if they don't get the letter back, they'll be turned to garden gnomes. Then you have the point-and-click games, where you have neat areas like this little town to interact with, or check out Patilla's house. Dang, she's got a nice place. And you have Rayman singing a song for you. Je déboule sur des roulements à billes. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but these games are very weird. Like Rayman Deck Tease. This game is designed to help players on spelling and grammar. This game is only in French, and apparently this game is a crossover to another learning game called Adventures of Tim 7, and these are the characters that appears in that game. What the hell is Tim 7? Pfft, I don't know. I tried searching for it, and literally all I can find is a commercial for the game, and a listing of it being sold in some website. In fact, there isn't much videos on Rayman Deck Tease other than some of the cutscenes. The most gameplay footage I've seen of this game is one of Romani's streams. And as neat it would be to make videos on these, I can't get these games to work, and honestly, there's not much reason to play these other than for the cutscenes. I mean, you can pretty much watch these on YouTube or look up screenshots, and the gameplay pretty much speaks for itself. Also, it's not worth the effort to get these to work. Like what, I'm just gonna play these for like 5 minutes and I'm never gonna play them again? Also, some of these games are hard to find. Sometimes I can find them dirt cheap, or they're one of the most expensive Rayman games. And you gotta keep a good eye on these too, because a lot of them use the same Rayman render for the box art, and one of them have different names in other countries. You see this? These are all the same game. So I'm doing Rayman Brain Games, because it's the most well-known educational Rayman game. Brain Games is a port of a PC game called The Amazing Learning Game of Rayman. For PAL on PlayStation, it's Rayman Jr., though the grade levels are separated into 3 discs. However, Brain Games has all the grade levels in 1 disc, though the cutscenes are removed, and apparently this is the glitchy version of the game. Leap and learn with Rayman, ages 6 to 9. I already have a bad feeling about this. So I'm gonna be using cutscenes off of the PC version. Everything in Rayman's world was nice and peaceful. Deep in the forest is a cottage where the Magician lives. Inside holds the Book of Knowledge that keeps balance in the world. Of course, this didn't last long as Mr. Dark barged in and stole the book and the map to his hideout. So now we just need to figure out which hero is going to return the book and save the world. But who? Rayman? And yeah, I guess you'll do. So from the start, we have a few options. We can either go ahead and get learning, or go to Patilla's garden on the left. There's not much reason to do the garden levels. It's just to practice on platforming, and you do have access to all of Rayman's abilities except running, because Rayman's a good boy who walks in the school hallways. Unfortunately, Patilla's garden levels is as normal as the level design gets. Let's do numeral recognition. It's easy. The Magician tells you whatever number, and you take the path with that number. Then you do a bit of classic Rayman platforming, and it repeats until you get to the exit. In the last stage, you do some sort of test, where you're in a more open level, and the Magician gives you an objective, and you need to collect certain numbers. So for this, I'm told to collect numbers that have the word 5 in their names. Then when you have all the tings under those numbers, and the tings are called bubbles for some reason, Then you go find the exit, which is usually hidden in a corner somewhere.
You are the best and you're winning this quest. That Mr. Dork hasn't got your spark. Go, Rayman, go.
That's nice and all, but what happens when you get a wrong answer? This spike ball is piercing through one of my lungs, but otherwise I think I'm doing okay. Wow, like that's just brutal. Make one mistake and you're instantly dead. Yeah, the entire game is very much just pick the path that doesn't kill you, while also dodging through obstacles that honestly seems a bit much for a child under the age of 10 to handle. So where exactly does the glitchy part come in? The hitboxes are broken. Like, there's so many things that really shouldn't hit you. There's been a few times where I got knocked back into the wrong answers and I died. Or in Phonics, a pin spawned behind me and I still got hit by it and my ride left without me and I take a death. I actually game over to this. The only way I was able to get past it was to take knockback from the enemy behind. If you think I'm just getting my ass kicked to a baby game and I'm just making excuses to blame the game, I'm gonna stop you right there, okay? Listen, I've made a Rayman level before, and I have turned on hitboxes. Rayman is a flexible rectangle, and you can get surprisingly close to enemies without getting hit. Heck, the Hunter's Hammer Bullet hitboxes doesn't change. The hitbox is always the bullet. There's a lot of things in Rayman brain games that shouldn't hit you. I know for a fact that this shouldn't hit you. Like, look at this pencil. Normally the hitbox would be the pointer, right? So what is it now? Is the hitbox just bigger? No, it's the whole pencil. The entire pencil can hurt you. Oh yeah, and lives don't spawn in this port. So my only way to get lives is to get 50 tings. I try to grab as many tings as I can. It may be risky in some places, but I'll take what I can get. Yeah, so far my experience has been kinda miserable actually. And these levels are long too. Most of them go for like 15 plus minutes. Like an average Rayman 1 level is around 4 to 9 minutes. Counting groups multiplication took me more than 20 minutes. So you don't want to die to something stupid, or you have to do the same questions again. Also, you don't want to forget to save. It happened to me a few times and it was annoying as hell. There is something I should mention that in every level has an intro where the Magician explains what you need to do to get past these levels. And Batilla also gives you some tips. And apparently she really wants you to visit her garden.
Get yourself wound up. And remember, you're welcome to take a spin around my garden if you want to practice.
Well, I found one intro where the Rayman AI got messed up, and the poor Rayman AI could not complete the introduction. So this means Batilla's voice clip in this intro didn't get used. Okay, I have enough with this. Let's put an end to it. The end. I am just a little child. So in the final stage, you have this letter that explains what you need to do. For Dark, I go to the spot that has 4 tings, then do a bit of platforming, and did the same thing for Rayman. After that, everything plays like normal Rayman 1. Then I retrieve the Book of Knowledge, and the game boots me back to the title screen. Okay, the ending is very much the same as Rayman 1's ending, with everyone celebrating Rayman's victory. Even one of the clips were reused. I did not have fun with this. The difficulty is all over the place, and I'm not sure what child is able to get past these. The only levels I thought were fine is word search, spelling, place value, and adding and subtracting. The rest were really boring and the others were frustrating, especially when I was dealing with broken hitboxes and the lack of life pickups. And do you want to know what the funny thing about all this is? That was only the beginning. Yep, I also did level 2 and 3. Not only are the questions harder, but the level design is also harder. Now, are the levels actually different? Yes and no. It seems that the levels are extended, and there's more enemies and less checkpoints. And I've just found out that there's some levels they didn't bother changing. All they did is change the question, but the correct and wrong answers are in the same spots. That's just lazy. I know counting groups multiplication is different. Level 1 has you counting butterflies and mushrooms, while level 2 and 3 just has you do multiplications and do some odds and evens. I'm not kidding, for level 2, I found a spot where spike balls spawned behind me, and I fell off and I wasn't sure how to get past it. So I had to spawn the spike balls early, so I can land back on the platform. And on level 3, there's a part where you need to crawl under the spike balls. But since the hitboxes are broken, I got hit and fell off. So once again, I had to rely on damage boosting to get through. Follow up with a big spike ball to get through, and there's very little room to get through it without getting hit. I'm not gonna lie, this section made me question if getting through it was even possible. And it is, but it's very tight. And for spelling check, I ran into an issue where I'm being chased by Dark Rayman, and he's supposed to disappear here, but he didn't, and I end up dying. And again, I had to rely on damage boosting. Seriously, the amount of times I had to rely on damage boosting and the junk this game throws at you is ridiculous. Even Rayman 1 doesn't throw this much crap at you. Oh, what's that? What about these parts of the game? Or getting all the cages? Okay, you know what? I don't want to be that guy, but... buddy, that is nothing compared to the BS I'm going through in Brain Games. Yes, 1 had questionable level design, but even those parts had easy solutions to them. I don't get why this game is listed on top 10 hardest PS1 games. I didn't grow up with a PS1 or have very many games for it, but I know Rayman 1 is not the hardest PS1 game. It does have some hard bits, but the game does give you lives for doing something neat. The fact this game gives you lives for doing stuff like this, or even this, proves that even if Rayman 1 can be rough at times, it does reward a player for going for secrets. Yeah, I've died to stupid things in that game, but I never think it's the game's fault. It's always my fault. Whether you agree or disagree, Rayman 1 is certainly a fair game. And I know it's fair because I've never ever come across a point where I have to force myself to damage boost to get through obstacles, unlike Rayman Brain Games. This game takes everything I know about Rayman 1 and turns it upside down. It's all over the place and it expects you to know what to do. I actually find this game harder than Rayman 1. And honestly, I think every top 10 hardest PS1 game list that has Rayman 1 in it should be replaced with Brain Games. I know I'm dealing with a bad port here, but honestly, even if I wasn't dealing with broken hitboxes or the lack of live pickups, it still means I have to deal with the other crap this game throws at me. The fact this game kills you for being wrong is just sick. I know I got an answer wrong, but can the game at least explain why I'm wrong? Rayman Brain Games just tries to drain you as much as possible. I can't pull off any stunts because I'm afraid the game will get angry at me. I'm sorry, this game has been putting me in a bad mood. Let's finish this up. I'm in Phonics 3, and surprise, surprise, it's poorly designed. And I game over again, and I hit a checkpoint. So now when I get back where I left off, I start out with 1 life. Like, I was actually about to give up here. And I said to myself, dude, I'm like a few years away from my 30s. There are way better things I could be doing with my life right now. I could be hanging out with my friends, or make fan art for the other Rayman characters, or play a better game for that matter. But then I said, no. I went through so much of this game's crap to give up here. I've started it, and I'm finishing it. It took quite a bit of game overs, but Lord and behold, I actually did it.
With death.
What?
With fear.
What?
With blood.
Am I awake?
With killed. As in cheese.
Get me out. Get me out. I don't want to play this game anymore. I did it. Well, I'm never playing this again. After all the BS that I went through, I think I can safely say Rayman Brain Games is the worst Rayman game. It's very much just a bad ROM hack of Rayman 1, and it's very clear that Rayman 1's engine should not be used for education. If you think Rayman 1 is cruel, then Brain Games will make you take back every bad thing you've said about the original Rayman. I know I could go through the PC port and not have to deal with broken hitboxes, but honestly, I don't think I need to. I basically mastered this game. There's no reason for me to do it again. And playing it just makes me think I might as well play Rayman 1 or Rayman Designer. I'm never playing this again. Now, will you excuse me? I'm gonna do the old game reviewer bit where I'm going to smash this game into pieces. Actually, I'm too tired.